it's taken actually less than a year. The NCAA's monopoly over major college football could be collapsing. And if you don't like football, there's a story here, because this is a classic, pulling power away from the big guys. Who could be against that? The College Football Playoff Board wants to take governing rights away from the NCAA. Right now, all college sports and their championships live under the NCAA umbrella. Everything. Under this new idea, the College Football Playoff Board would run the sport, including postseason bowl games. We're talking about billions of dollars. And of course, it would take away nearly all of the NCAA's profits. Doug Eldridge is here, sports agent and analyst. Are we just admitting the obvious, right, that the charade that this isn't a business and that college sports are somehow, this great not-for-profit endeavor, and saying, all right, we'll call a spade a spade?
Well, first of all, yeah, in short form, Leland, we are. Remember when you and I discussed NIL, and we talked about how that was going to irreparably change the college landscape as we know it. Remember, student-athlete was a marketing term on par with Haagen-Dazs, which doesn't mean anything in any language. It was
made up by Haagen-Dazs was made up by a Brooklyn couple to make it sound as though it was fancy and European. So keep going.
Right. And it was the same concept with student athletes, right? It was a marketing term at the time to avoid death benefits for a college player that gotten hurt. But fast forward now to 2021, last year, when we really saw for the first time that the NCAA was the dinosaur that we always thought it was, and now the asteroid had entered the atmosphere. And 1 year later, we're starting to see the early stages of a breakup, the likes of which we probably haven't seen since the early 80s and the Bell system. What you're seeing possibly with college football breaking off is the first iteration of that. They're going to treat this as a preemptive antitrust deregulation move. And when you hear the clearly heavily buffered, but the language and the side comments coming out of that CFP closed door meeting, they want to do it, and they're angry that it hasn't been done already.
You talk about NIL, which is name, image, likeness. Finally, college athletes can start getting some kind of money. Look, there was one kid who got $8 million. Olivia Dunn, $1 million plus. Quinn Evers, $1.4 million. These are the very few who have huge social media followings and the like. How is this work? How is this fair that there's these few kids who make huge money, and then you're going to have a lot of other kids who are on there on the offensive line making a couple grand?
Well, I see no problem with it. First of all, finally, these kids can get a couple of shekels. Second of all, I'm a free market capitalist. So I say if this guy can command $8 million, more power to him. Now, if these are quarterbacks and running backs commanding that money, the smart guys, just like the quarterbacks after a Super Bowl, always take care of their line. But we knew from the very start, even before this was implemented, that it was really going to be the 1% of the 1% that would even be eligible and on deck for this type of money. The overwhelming majority of the rest of collegiate athletes, especially in the non-revenue sports, they're not. Now, it's going to, ironically, Leland, be the Olympic sports, the gymnastics, the swimming, the track and field, they're going to be hurt by this because we're going to see that shifting and de-emphasis in those sports, and we're going to lose that pipeline every 4 years when we need it the most.
But
when you look at this, what's really driven by that, Leland, it's the media dollars.
How's this going to end up working, right? Because you say the non-revenue sports. There's not a lot of people signing 10-figure television contracts or nine-figure television contracts for women's, fencing or whatever it is. That there's also a college sport that has scholarships and the like, has benefited from Title IX. The flip side of this is that only 1.6% of college players that play college football get drafted. So are there going to now be real salaries for these college players?
Not in the conventional sense. Remember, they're not getting paid for what they do on the field, at least not directly. This is all marketing dollars. It's essentially a de facto endorsement off the field, the court, the track, the pool, et cetera. But where this is really coming from, right, it's the dollar grab, and it's all driven by media rights. The female fencing team that you just referenced has always been kept afloat by the revenue-generating sports, namely football. The NCAA does nearly $1 billion in March Madness alone. The Big Ten just signed a $7 billion, 7-year contract across 3 major networks. Now, it's not apples for apples, but the NFL signed an $110 billion with a B, 11-year media rights extension. I'm saying all this because that's what's ultimately driving the shit, right? You're seeing 40 to 80% increases, Leland, on the net of these media rights deals, and that's really what's driving it. And to go back to where we started, the NCAA realizes the asteroids in the atmosphere, and they need to scramble to salvage what they can.
Yeah, they've been used to running an unregulated monopoly for a while, and now that is getting crushed, really, and rightfully so. Hey, Doug, it's good to see you. Thank you.